It's a pleasure having everybody back here at the CSA Forex channel, where we talk about the majors and, of course, gold. Yes, the majors and gold. Yes, so today in this weekly market recap, it's for us to look at what happened during the week and then to find out how we could improve. Yes, I mean how we could improve. And then I must tell you now, during this recap, while going over my charts for the week, right, I noticed something that I'm going to exploit, and it's actually mind blowing. And I must say that here. Let me put it this way, when I test it, because obviously I'm going to test it, when I test it, and of course, the results I have gotten so far, if it is that good, then I'll definitely share with everybody. But let me just give you a little hint. It has to do with time frames, looking at different time frames on that same instrument. Now, let me give you a quick clue, right? Let me just use this because obviously this is an area that worked. So I'll use this to explain, right? Now, I'm not saying you should go against the market because if you had entered it on a buy, you are definitely going against the market. And of course, you know that this is an area of support. But what I want to explain to you is this. Now, you can see that this is the 4 hours time frame, right? I know some people might obviously know this. It's nothing new as such, right? But this simply has to do with switching time frames to a lower time frame when price gets to this area of support here, and then you will definitely find that your entry trigger there. Now, what I'm trying to say is because I know traders actually obviously are like, duh, I already know this. But what I'm trying to show you now is that the reason for this now is that it's going to give you low risk or lower risk or the lowest risk, right? And then of course the highest reward compared to if you are placing that trade on this time frame and then you're exiting on this time frame. And then another thing I've also noticed is that entry trigger, right? You know, our triggers are usually based on patterns. I noticed a particular pattern I'm going to try to exploit, and then I'll keep everybody updated, right? Don't worry if your trading is already up there, you don't need to pay attention to the future videos. But if you are new to this channel, then I would advise you listening to me to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell now. And of course, give this video a thumbs up. It does help the algorithm. It helps the channel to grow as well. So let's dive into what we have for you today quickly, because I believe I'm already excited about the new trading week. Now, for this Euro USD that we have in front of us, we mark this area, right? If you go and watch the weekly market forecast or outlook, we mark this area as the area of interest to watch. And then we did that because we had this as a form of support, and then resistance. And then look at what happened. It first of all went down to test the support here, which is very, very valid. But don't forget, we said this trend is a downtrend. But if you look at it also, it needs to retest. And we've been calling the 1.17 area. And then look at what happened. Yes, we had this big candle on Wednesday, which was thanks to the CPI. The CPI came out on Wednesday. The CPI data was 0.4 as opposed to 0.3. You would have expected the US dollar to be strong and then Euro USD to drop, to tank. But then we had this Euro USD appreciate, and then it appreciated up to the point of this resistance and then broke out. And look at what is happening now. It came back to sit on this as what? As support, went up and still sitting on support. Don't be surprised if this new week we push higher to this 1.17. This is definitely the area that I would advise everybody. Area, don't forget it's an area, not a price point. This is the area based on support and resistance that I would advise everybody to look out for your entry trigger. I repeat, to look out for your entry trigger. Now, don't forget what I said I have, discovered. By the time you stay at the market for a long period of time, you start to see a lot of things. So looking at this here, when the price gets to this area here, area of resistance, I am going to drop down to a particular time frame and then look for that particular pattern that will give me lower, or the lowest of the lowest what? Lowest of the lowest risk. Maybe something like this. It probably could be about 6 pips, 7 pips. From what I've seen, it's probably about 5, 6, 7 pips for this Euro USD. And then, of course, I'll try to run it down to this point here. Looking at this might probably give us about 10 hour plus, or about 10 hour. And that's why I'm actually, excited about this. I'm usually a laid back trader, but I think I'm going to give this a little test. And of course, while doing the test, I'm going to lower my risk, of course, right? Because of course, you need to ensure that you're in control of your risk, you tame your risk. And then looking at the other instruments quickly, try not to take much of your time. Don't want this video to be too long. This is the cable here. And of course, look also, cable will still be respecting those areas. I had a little loss here on the cable as well, right? I was trying to take this down over here. You can see we had this area that acted as the resistance. We're trying to short this on the resistance, hoping to take it down. But then thanks to the CPI on Wednesday that came out, it pushed higher. But then as it pushed higher, what I really love about this trading is that no matter what happens, whether it's a win or it's a loss, you notice that price always comes back to test your area that you have marked out. So look at what happened over here. Price came back, tested this area, and you can see that it's breaking out, and this was on a Friday. This is Friday close. So this area might just act as what? It might act as a new support and then launch higher, or it might fall back and then now act as resistance and then drop some more. Either way, accept the losses, right? Now, you can watch the previous video that was made just before this one you're watching. It talked about the 3 ways to deal with losses. And that means that we're all going to have losses. So I would advise you to watch that video. I'll try and put the link in the description below. So make sure you watch that video. It's going to help you to deal with losses and of course move on, because most people don't move on. They want to enter the market aggressively and make and make all the money in that one trade because of that loss that he had. This is the Aussie, and I wasn't really feeling this week based on this movement here. You can see this is more or less like a complete takeover of this bearish move. Even if you're using a Fibonacci, it has definitely gone past the 38.2, 50, and 61.8 markers, right? So this was one that I was not feeling at all. And by the time you look at your charts right from the very beginning, you'd already know the ones to look at more than some others. Kiwi too. Kiwi is actually heading to an area of interest over here, but because Kiwi and Aussie, they are like brothers and sisters, they tend to move in the same direction more or less. You need to be careful with the Kiwi as well, even though it's here at an area of former support and then resistance now. We now wait to see what happens in this area, right? Of course, you need to wait for the market to open. Who knows whether the market will even open with gaps? Who knows? But then also don't forget this big candle here, bullish candle, was from Wednesday's CPI, and that's continued the movement higher, right? And then moving on to the dollar Swizzy. Dollar Swizzy too, not the cleanest. This area was one that we said we're looking out for a breakout here, and we had this here. What will you call this? I'm going to say it again. What will you call this? I'm sure from where you are, before I tell you what it is, some of us are saying, oh, that's a fake out. That is a false break. Yes, of course. In the market outlook video forecast, we said that this was a fake out here, and this is another fake out. So we need to be careful with fake outs, because trust me, fake out used to catch me back then, years ago, when I was still new in this. And I'll try to short this here, and when I short, it just does this and then pushes back into this range, and then now I'm in trouble. Even in more trouble if I'm not using a stop loss. Yes, dollar yen. The yen has been one that we have been looking out for. After the breakout of these areas here, of this resistance, we were expecting it to drop, but it never did. It pushed up, and then it created this box area here that acted as another resistance, and then when it broke out, this is now the new level to watch to probably push it higher. But of course, this area here would be ideal for good risk to reward ratio. Good risk to reward ratio, right? So always have patience, always expect the market to come to you. Don't rush into the market trying to force the market to give you something. That simply means that I'm going to be waiting for next week. Let's see the direction of this dollar yen, because trust me, even in this market that we have this strict, I call it a strict bullish run, because it wasn't looking back at all to test the areas that have acted as resistance. So now you can see something that we can simply call this an untested area of support. This is another untested area of support, and this is also another area of untested. Now I'll give you a little clue from my little screen time experience looking at the market based on untested areas. What do you think is going to happen after a while based on the untested areas? It's going to build that magnetic push. Why? Because there are orders. There are pending orders waiting there. Yes, you heard me. There are pending orders. You have traders that have said buy pending orders. So you have the likes of buy stop here, buy limit here, buy limit here, buy limit here. And the longer you have some buy limits, the faster price will get to those buy limits pending areas. So let's see how this market goes. This is just a little clue for you. Don't forget, I mentioned the aspect of untested areas. The untested areas is also something that even the counter trend traders use to their own advantage, where they try to what? They try to sell. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just telling you what, just like playing chess, it's always good for you to know what the opponents will be doing, right? Where they use this as a form of selling pressure. And then if the market should push higher, they sell again. If it pushes higher again, that means that they are going to fade their position, because they know for a fact, listen to this, for a fact, that at least this untested area that we're marking, or we have marked as number 3 here, this untested area needs to be tested, and most likely will be tested sooner than later. This market could also open with a gap. I know for a fact that sellers are going to be fading this position just to bring it down to 3, and they could have like 3, 4, 5 sell positions trying to what? Trying to take advantage of this little move, or maybe even this major move down to number 2 here. But who knows? Whatever the case is, well, with what you have now, just be observant on it and see how you can use it to your advantage. You can see the purpose of this recap is to share ideas of even the coming week, and of course talk about majorly what happened during this week. And of course, from the recap, as I always say, it's always good for everybody to do a review, and then it will help you better. You'll see some things that you probably didn't see before. Quickly now, because of time, this video is taking a bit long now. You have the dollar card. The dollar card has been dropping nicely now, because crude oil has been appreciating, and yes, the dollar, the USD, has been dropping. So now it seems to have gotten some nice leg down, and you can see the areas of interest for a pullback into this new week. Gold. I don't want to say gold is foolish, but gold is foolish. Remember, we were talking about the range and then breakouts, and range and then breakouts. So we had this range here. This one lasted for a while. It broke out here quite all right, but then rushed back into the range here. And then look at what happened. Thanks to the thanks to the CPI on Wednesday, we had this move over here. We had this this move over here, which pushed out and broke out nicely, thinking to be sustained and at least get to these areas here of 1808 as resistance. A rush back in. So you can go and check this candle on the weekly time frame, and you will see what it looks like. Let's quickly check that now together. Let's check the time frames, weekly time frame. And you can see what we have here. What do we have here? This is looking like what? It's looking like a what? A bearish hammer, bearish pin bar. And you know, with hammers, pin bars, we expect it to drop further down. And if you watch the previous market recap and also market outlook videos, we've been talking about this area here, that this pin bar, bullish pin bar buyers need to be punished. I'm going to wait for as long as it takes, and then when it happens, I'm going to tell you I told you so, because this is clearly an area that you have your stop loss below here. And as you have your stop loss below here, of course, as people know that they are going to take the price there and take it out. And of course, we now wait to see what happens on another retest of this area, right? Because this area here holds value. You can see here resistance, support, 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 and then also support. So that means that another test of this area is it's very much welcomed, right? But then for those already long here, don't say you want to move your stop loss lower below this block. Well, ideally, this is where it should be, but of course, you'll be increasing your stop loss, and that is not good. You're meant to reduce, you're meant to lower your risk, and that's why I said I discovered, and I'll share with everybody come next week. With that said, I want to say thank you to everybody. Hope the video has been able to help you in one way or the other. Watch the video again. I believe I dropped a couple of nuggets. Yes, I dropped some key information there for you. Watch it again, read between the lines, and of course, we'll continue to do what we are doing for everybody to help you out. And if you are new, once again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, right, to get notified when we drop new videos like this, new educational videos on trading the Forex market and of course trading gold as well, the majors and gold. So thank you everybody. Give the video a like as well and see you next week. I'm sure you're excited for the new trading week. Yes, don't worry. In a few hours, it's going to open, but don't just jump in. Carry out your analysis, right? Thank you, everybody. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye and God bless. Cheers.